you always have multiple nemesis going through, whether it's a job nemesis, a school
Yeah.
nemesis, a neighbor nemesis. I feel that if you don't go through life trying to find your nemesis, then what are you living for?
And sometimes you get them all at the exact same time.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes they don't know you're their nemesis, but they are.
Think about how many people you're their nemesis and you have no idea. You're just like, hey,
Yeah.
Charles. But then Charles is like, fuck you, Chuck. I'm the real Charles.
I mean, being named Jose, like I feel I grew up throughout life with like a Highlander complex where every time I saw another Jose, it was like, the day comes. There could be only
It will
one.
real.
I will be the
Yes.
Jose that lasts.
So you thought about this like every day, right?
Welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and have doppelgangers of ourselves. I'm your host, Daniel.
I am Jose Ramos.
We've not done this in a while. We've not done this in a while.
5 other Jose's already went.
No, I was trying to move the video over as you did your intro, and yeah, it caused the pause.
It's okay.
And I'm Chuck's doppelgangbanger, Charles.
Does anybody have the current event?
So recently, Tom Holland signed a 6-project deal with Sony for Spider-Man. By how I read it, it doesn't necessarily mean 6 movies, solo movies. It's just a 6-project deal. It can include appearances or his own movie. So it can be, 1 movie, 5 appearances, or 3 and 3, whatever it is. But we know he can at least make 6 more appearances as part of his new contract. What do you guys think?
MCU?
Well, it's the contracts with Sony, but part of it is appearances in the MCU.
It's hard to imagine that he's gonna do 6 movies, right? So you'd have to imagine his own standalone is maybe what, 2 more, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe 3. I would
You
say
think so?
3, and then like
You think
Secret
he's gonna do a
War.
whole other trilogy?
Yeah, probably Secret War, maybe what's
Kang.
it, the Kang.
So that's
Yeah,
2.
would probably appear in that. Who knows? I mean, if he appears for 5 minutes in a movie, let's say like the Deadpool movies, he appeared for 5 minutes, technically that counts
Yeah.
as an appearance. Because didn't they have a similar deal for the Hulk? Didn't he have like 100 and something like appearance contracts or something like that? It was
It
like
was that
something.
high?
It was something
Jesus.
extreme where they were like, he's never gonna appear that many times, but they secured him just in case.
Wow. I wonder if that counts as the She-Hulk episodes as well. Like each episode counts as 1 appearance, probably, right?
If it's that many, I would
Probably
venture to say because he was maybe like 3 or 4 of them, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, if he goes through all 6 of them, because then again, he might do 2 movies and they just might not use up the other 4. Because I've heard of that before where someone gets contracted for a certain amount of appearances, but they never use all the appearances. But this would make Tom Holland the longest standing Spider-Man by far.
Yeah, I think he already is, isn't he? Technically, because his appearances in the Avengers and everything, I think he is.
Because of the extra appearances, but this will put him above in solo movies.
I wonder if he's gonna make an appearance in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as like a voice.
Right? That could be because they're even talking about for the Spider-Verse to include the video game Spider-Man and throwing him in there.
Yeah.
So they definitely want to go big.
Yeah, I heard that he's actually in his contract too, like financially responsible for any spoilers that he lets.
Is he really?
I don't doubt it by the rumors.
And that is another Nas made up.
That was a good one. That was believable.
That was a good one. Yeah. Because he did spoil a bunch of stuff, or at least allegedly spoiled it. Ooh, you have a ghost over there.
Someone didn't like that made up fact.
In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about rival movies. So movies that have similar plots, similar themes that came around at least Jose, like a 1 to 2 year
within a year. I went within a year for these.
Perfect. Okay, so that's what we're gonna be tackling because they would always have movies like Deep Impact or Armageddon that come out. It's almost the exact same premise to some extent, and then they're coming out the same year. So which one wins? There's usually always ones that wins, right? It's very rare that they both just straight up fail.
Which one with Armageddon was also a porn?
Armageddon was.
No, that was Handmageddon.
That was a sequel.
Deep Impact was the porn with Elijah Wood.
Elijah's Wood.
What do you think can cause sometimes these movies that are so similar, whether in concept or idea, coming out so close to each other? And this has happened quite a few times. Like, what do you guys think can lead to that?
I feel like it takes a lot of time and prep and like a whole process to make a movie that it's easy to say, oh, they want to copy them and do that. But with all the time and the prep that it takes to do that, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like they had to have both had this same idea at the same time, right? Or can you just, if Armageddon comes out, can you be like, let's do Deep Impact? Like, is it that fast?
A lot of times, sometimes it is with these, and you also have to consider that the writer is selling his script, so the studios are reading the same scripts essentially. So sometimes they'll see it, they'll like it, one will nab it, and they're like, you know what, that was a good premise. Let's go ahead and put out our own. Another one could be event based. So if they have like Jeffrey Dahmer, right? They had the tapes of Jeffrey Dahmer, and then they had the other, the other one with Evan Peters. It's sometimes you have event based where if it's something 9/11. So if it's something like that, they'll try to hurry. All the studios push aggressively to try to get it out. But usually I would imagine it's mostly them coming across the projects or the scripts, and there's usually always a bidding war, and then whoever loses is like, fuck it, we're gonna make it in 12 days. And sometimes they do that. That's why I think with some of these movies, you can tell which one was forced. You could tell which one was quickly greenlit. They jumped right into production because the quality of the project is just not that good. They're trying to be first.
And we're going to be focusing on major title releases. So we're not going to be focused. What you see a lot is when a big movie is coming out, you always get like your B movie that shares a very similar title to try to draw people in. Yeah. So then you had like Jurassic Park comes out, and then you see this very low budget movie called like Jurassic. Yeah. Or but they like share similar titles, so be like Jurassic Age. And so some people actually get confused, and they do that all the time.
Oh,
these low budget movies.
Tubi has all those, man.
Oh, Jose, you got so confused, didn't you? Because I never heard any of these. And then you get confused, which I can see happening. You definitely get confused by Jurassic Age, because I thought it was. I was like, where's the deal?
Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, how is this not like copyright? Like the icon seems almost exactly like the real movie, and they'll change like one letter or one word. Yeah. And it's always within a month release of the actual mainstream movie. But yeah, that's not what we're going to be focused on. We're going to be focusing on similar major releases from major studios.
Yeah, we'll leave the Jurassic Age for another episode when we review it live for your entertainment.
Which was not as good as the original, in case you guys are wondering.
I was wondering that.
Well, don't worry, Jose. We'll talk about it one day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to get into the first one?
Yep, let's do it, man. First movie.
All right.
First competition. First round.
Friday the 13th and My Bloody Valentine. They actually faced off twice throughout their history. The first time in 1980-81 that they both came out. And then in 2009, they both released their reboots. So they faced off again.
Yeah. And if you want to give us a little more of a showdown with the cast on that one, Jose, I think you're pretty familiar with that.
Yeah, well, I thought what was funny about it, because these movies had that original rivalry from the 80s, and then when they both came out in 2009, each of them casted one of the Winchester brothers to be the lead from Supernatural. So it was like you had these two guys who had a connection on this long-standing show, and then now they're both being the leads in these two like rival products.
It makes you wonder if somebody behind Supernatural worked like split up, and one of them was working on each show. Because if you get if you get the same similar type of movie, it's even more unbelievable that you would also be casting rivaling actors in the same show. So it makes you wonder if people from that show worked on these movies.
It is a possibility. I didn't look into that, but that is a good point where maybe there was a connection to Supernatural and they already knew
Yeah.
those two actors. Or they were like, well, I'm already doing this one, so like, all right, we'll get the other one and
Yeah.
we'll put him in this one.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like I was reading when they first came out in the 80s, Friday 13th came out first, and then My Bloody Valentine came out after.
Mm.
And while My Bloody Valentine kind of built a cult following, as we know, Friday 13th ended up becoming the most famous.
Crushed it. Yeah.
And I guess some of the people's impressions during that time is that My Bloody Valentine had a lot of similarities in the story to what Friday 13th was. So I'm thinking that probably part of the problem for My Bloody Valentine was it was a lot of like, oh, been there, done that just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So this might have been a situation where whoever came out first had the advantage. What do you guys think? Or in how do you guys think the reboots compared if you guys didn't see the original?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think of the reboots. I think My Bloody Valentine is probably better than the Friday the 13th, just because Friday the 13th. No, you said Friday the 13th or Nightmare Friday, right?
Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Well, Friday the 13th wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
The remake actually wasn't that bad. Yeah, I guess I'd probably still go Friday the 13th just because I like Jason's mythology better. But My Bloody Valentine, the remake wasn't bad.
I think I liked My Bloody Valentine a little bit better. Friday the 13th was a little bit. It had some very hateable characters and stupid characters, but it did have more boobs.
Which is a
If I
great
rem-
selling point for
if I
Charles.
remember correctly. But also at that time, My Bloody Valentine was in 3D.
It was.
And that was cool back then.
Mhm.
So I'm like, because I got to watch it at home on 3D, and so that was cool. So
Did you see 3D boobs in that movie?
no, I didn't know.
I don't know.
It didn't have any boobs, and the cooler Winchester was in that one too. So
Agreed.
yeah,
In the end, I think in the box office, I believe Friday 13th did better domestically, but My Bloody Valentine actually won international box office. We're gonna remember the Friday 13th original and the reboot before we remember My Bloody Valentine. So I
Mhm.
think that would declare Friday 13th the winner in this
Yeah.
rivalry.
It was kind of ballsy that they made Jason a fast Jason. I didn't mind that. They gave us something different. You know what I mean? Now, whether we like it better than the OG one or not, different point, but I commend them for trying something different.
I will give this to Fire 13. That the opening had me on board and got me hyped.
Mm-hmm.
The fact when you have all these people and they all get wiped out from the start is like, oh shit, none of these people are
Yeah.
gonna. And he wiped
Yeah.
them all out. And I was like, I didn't expect that. I thought these were gonna be the characters
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
movie, and one or two were gonna survive. And it was like, nope, everyone's wiped out from the start. So I feel that was a good decision, and it kind of got me on board right from the start.
Like Warner Brothers Batman movie losing against a Kite Man standalone movie. You know what I mean? Like you have Jason, man. How do you not win that match? But they lost.
3D, dude. Everything was 3D, and I was stupid. I was all in the 3D. I think I even watched Piranha in 3D. Do you
I
remember
remember that.
Yeah, I was like, dude, 3D.
It's
Although
coming at me.
I stayed for that, but I walked out of Avatar in 3D. I was like, nope.
The next one, the presidential battle. White House down and Olympus has fallen. Both faced off in 2013.
Okay. If you
Have
can
you
give
guys
a
seen both of those?
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
If you could just give a quick for the audience, because I know one of them had Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx.
That's White House down.
White House
Channing Tatum,
down.
Jamie Foxx. I believe Jamie Foxx was the president
Yep.
in that one. President with the white Nikes.
Yeah.
And then Olympus has fallen was the one with Gerald Butler. He played a Secret Service
Mhm.
agent, basically again defending the White House.
Yep.
So both were presidents under attack, White House under attack. One leaned more towards comedy action, and the other one was more straight action, which was the Olympus Has Fallen. What do you guys thoughts on both of those? And
I think they both should have never been made, but
Yes.
considering they both were, I actually enjoyed the Gerard Butler one more. And I think that one spawned a sequel. At least his character got a
I think I
sequel.
did too.
that one spawned the whole trilogy.
A trilogy. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked that one better. I'm gonna speak for Dan and say he liked that one better too,
Yeah.
because I don't
By
think
a
he
hair
liked.
margin,
I
because
don't think he liked.
they both were on the losing end of that battle, but yet one of them won.
Don't you not like Channing Tatum, or is that Jose?
No,
That's no,
yeah,
no, that's
yeah,
that's
me.
that.
That's Dan, right?
That's
Yeah. That's already. I'm like, I do like Jamie Foxx though, but I'm with you. The Gerard Butler one at least was more action packed. So
I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. Although I don't look at it as a small margin. I felt, well, not an amazing movie. Olympus Has Fallen was way better than White House Down. White House Down was hard to watch for me.
yeah,
It was like way too cheesy at certain times, and
Mhm.
the comedy just wasn't working for me. White House Down, I felt the action was good. And then I remember sitting there, and when they're attacking the White House and then make it happen, part of me was like, this actually seems like it could be pulled off. Like
yeah.
there was some intelligence that went into creating that plan of attack for the
Mm-hmm.
movie, where it was like, it still might be implausible, but it seems like, hey, if all the right circumstances, this can work. Which at that part I liked. And I mean, the fact that we never heard anything else from White House Down, it stayed down, and Olympus Has Fallen, they had a trilogy. I think that one was the clear
Yeah,
winner.
yeah,
Yeah,
think
I
so
think
too.
Gerard Butler helped that movie too. He fits into that mold of that movie better than Channing Tatum, Tanning Tatum, Jamie Foxx. Gerard Butler
Yeah.
fits into that mold
Succeeded.
better than the other people, so that helped.
And then we had Morgan Freeman. We had
Really?
Mhm.
yeah, because he ends up being the president in the um
Was Aaron Eckhart in
that
that?
trilogy. Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
original president.
And did he die?
No, I think he ends up retiring. Or I mean, not retiring. Yeah, I think he doesn't get
Because
elected again, or
yeah,
He
he
doesn't get
like
his face
leaves.
like burned or something like that?
No,
you're thinking of Two
no,
Face.
no. Yeah, you think about
That's
the
there's a
Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight trilogy. Mhm.
Going on to the other one, and Dan, you mentioned this one earlier. We have Armageddon: Deep Impact, the 1998
Yes.
face-off, where people Hollywood just want to see the world get destroyed.
Yep. Morgan Freeman was also president there too, wasn't he, for Deep Impact?
Oh yeah,
So he had two
yeah,
runs, two runs in two
yeah.
movies. It's pretty obvious, right? Which one won this one? Armageddon. Come on, still quotable. It's got Chuck's boy, Ben Affleck. Look at even his eyes rolled in the back of his head, like, oh yes.
I mean, the similarity between me and Ben Affleck is just
I see it. I see it. Yeah, that's how
so
we get a lot of our clicks. Everybody thinks, oh, they're interviewing Ben Affleck.
animal crackers, and here comes the cheetah or the koala. Wait, are those in those?
Wait, wasn't it an elephant? Was it
Wallaby.
a chupacabra?
Here comes the
The
chupacabra
platypus.
going up your navel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. They had
Well,
No nukes.
Aerosmith,
No
huge
nukes.
hits.
That's it. I'm done.
yeah.
I'm done.
It was. I think Armageddon easily wins, in my opinion. I think it does. Even box office, I'm sure it crushed it over Deep Impact.
Well, I prefer Armageddon. That's one that I've actually watched periodically
Hmm.
again. I don't know if I've seen Deep Impact more than twice, but they actually both did very well in the
Hmm.
box office.
Hmm.
And then like for me, Armageddon had the better cast, the better chemistry. That's what made it more entertaining.
Hmm.
Deep Impact leaned more towards the realism. It was more realistic of like, okay, if it were to happen, you're probably gonna get Deep Impact before you get Armageddon. And they
Yeah.
were like, hey, let's get these oil rig people and train them to be astronauts.
Yeah.
And
And not the other way around.
yeah. But here's my point. This is why I think Armageddon won. I think it's all about the song. The song
Mhm.
put it over the top. Aerosmith. Everyone already they hear that song, they think Armageddon. They think Armageddon, they hear that song. I think that's what it had. The Deep Impact didn't. That gave it longevity. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and it had Ben Affleck, and it had Bruce Willis too.
Steve
So
Buscemi. Steve Buscemi.
Steve, yeah, 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 him.
He's a selling
Yeah.
point, Chuck. He's a selling point.
Okay,
I
yeah.
like
I mean,
Steve
no,
Buscemi.
I mean he is for me, but as far as like winning by hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, you got to throw Bruce Willis in.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? It was Steve Buscemi, Dan. It
Throw
was
him in there.
because of
Throw him in
Steve
there.
Buscemi that Armageddon beat Dip Impact by hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. Yeah.
Yes.
My problem, Chuck, is that Bruce Willis he's just always Bruce Willis in everything.
Kind of like Tom Hanks.
No, nothing like Tom Hanks.
He
No,
is
but
though. But who saved the world more than Bruce Willis has?
Tom Cruise.
yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
He said it a lot. War of the Worlds.
Every mission impossible, he saves the world.
Yeah,
Did he
every
save the world
mission.
in The Mummy?
Yeah.
And then
Magnolia. What else did he save the world in?
wait, wasn't he the
Vanilla Sky. He saved the
I was
world.
saying Eyes
War
Wide
of the
Shut. Kidding.
Worlds?
Yeah, War of the Worlds. He
Or
did it in.
yeah. All right, so Armageddon takes that round. I think that's
yeah.
pretty unanimous here. Thank
Yeah.
you, Aerosmith. All right, for the next one, we have The Prestige and The Illusionist, the Battle of 2006, the Battle of the Magicians.
Yes.
I love The Prestige. It's actually one of my favorite movies. I think Dan's kind of on it, right?
No,
Kind
I
of
liked it. You said it was like your favorite of Christopher Nolan. I said, oh, that's not my favorite of his. That's what we had said. Yeah. To me, I like Dark Knight. I like other ones over that one. I mean, it's cool. It's not a bad movie.
But
I just think it's I like a bunch of his movies more. Like Memento. I like Memento more.
I'm like this. I'm like, I never said that. But I do think it's one of his best and one of my favorite movies by Christopher Nolan. No, but it's just, and the more I watched it, it's just so clever. The parallels, like it's so smart. I love it. And it sucks that it came out the same time as The Illusionist, because Illusionist isn't bad. It's actually not a bad movie. But compared to like The Prestige, it's like
Mhm.
it's like
Christian Bale.
magician versus weird younger brother of a magician,
So is this just a weird brother then? Or does he also have magical powers?
It's like Prime Rib and weird little brother of
Sizzler?
Prime Rib. Yeah.
Sizzler steak? I felt the same way. Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan is going to trump anything that The Illusionist had. So it's just a better story. It was good all around. I felt like a lot of it was kind of built around the surprise ending. So once you kind of get past that, I think you can sit back and just appreciate the film, but it kind of loses a little bit in the rewatchability factor for me. It's about The Prestige, but still a solid movie, man. I mean, Hugh Jackman, great cast.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
We all just
Yeah.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
No, but I'm gonna have to agree. The Prestige is one of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. That and Memento is what turned me to Christopher Nolan's, and I haven't turned back since. So I definitely agree with that one. I know at that time, Prestige, I believe, won the box office war between both of those, which is understandable. You got the star power there of Jackman, Bale, and Johansson. But I think they were both received differently by different groups of people. Critics preferred The Illusionist and tended to side with The Illusionist, but like viewers and fans tended to side with Prestige. So depending on like what sites and stuff you looked at, if it was more critical, from my critics, Prestige had the advantage. If it was things that was more fan centric, Prestige was the one that was getting the advantage on those. So I felt that was interesting on that part. But Prestige, all the way. Let's go. We had in 1998 Battle of the Insects, Ants,
Ooh.
and A Bug's Life.
Ants. I felt bad for Ants, man, because Sylvester Stallone so wanted that to work. You know what I mean? Woody Allen, like, but they wanted it to work, but Bug's Life just crushed it, man. Pixar, like, you can't go toe to toe with Pixar. They're gonna fuck you up. It's like going toe to toe with 90s Tyson. You're getting knocked out, Chuck. Don't even step in the ring with them.
this this one's is funny because I was reading about it, and you know how we were talking about earlier what can possibly cause movies that are similar to come out at the same time, and then here, like, to think that two separate studios were like, let's make a movie about ants at the same time and release them, it just seemed far-fetched. But this one, we actually know why it happened. So actually, there was an ex Disney producer who left disgruntled from Disney, and then he ended up suing Disney, and he got money. I don't remember specifically why he sued them, but then he used that money to co-found DreamWorks. And while his time at Disney, he had heard the idea about like the ants and all of that stuff, that general storyline. So I guess that was still on his mind. So he decided that he was going to go with ants when he heard that Disney was going to use Pixar to do A Bug's Life. And then Disney ended up putting A Bug's Life before Ants. And then he was like, nope, not going to happen. So he spent an extra $15 million to speed up the production of Ants to release it before A Bug's Life. So like this was a true rivalry where it was like Disney and the ex-employee going at it and be like, I'm going to release it first. No, I'm going to release it first.
Do you have the box office numbers on that?
No, I don't, but I believe off the top of my head that A Bug's Life ended up winning.
Yeah.
And then just even critically, Bug's Life was received better. Pixar is Pixar. But I think Chuck is looking up the box office numbers, so he might be able to provide that to us. In the meantime, like, what was your thoughts on both movies then?
Yeah, Bug's Life was just done better. It has that Pixar feel, and that's what I mean about Pixar. It's like you can't duplicate Pixar. Like the way that they did Toy Story, it just has its own world, how each movie connects. It's so well planned out, Pixar, and it feels like with anything else that's competing, usually DreamWorks got it right with Shrek, but not all of their movies are hits. You know what I mean? And I felt like with Ants, it was okay. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it. I saw it the one time. It was okay, but Woody Allen versus Pixar, it's just not going to work. I mean, that's a hard fight. It's an uphill battle.
It was 363 to 171 Bug's Life. But you know what's funny is I actually do like Ants better.
Do you?
Yeah, because I bought a DVD player and they gave it to me for free when I bought the DVD player. And I couldn't afford any real DVDs, so I watched fucking Ants. Like,
was it Sylvester Stallone that sold you?
Yeah, I blew my load on the DVD player, so I couldn't buy any more DVDs. So they gave me Ants that came with it. So I watched that shit like 20 times. It's so good.
So what you're saying is you Clockwork Orange yourself into like Ants.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I go, Bug's Life, they copied Ants. Fuck that. I'm not watching that.
They copied it. It came out first. Check the tape. It came out first.
But I think you made a good point, Dan, regarding like the design. I haven't seen Ants since it came out that year, but didn't they try like to make their characters kind of look like the actors that were like playing them?
Yeah, that's why Sylvester Stallone even had a little lip thing going on.
I feel that's kind of creepy sometimes. While Pixar is just like, this is our designs. Doesn't matter like who's the one voicing them, and I think they found success with that.
Yeah.
So here I think overall Bug's Life won the battle.
Oh yeah.
But not in Chuck's heart. In Chuck's heart, it is Ants and will forever be Ants.
Because of the free DVD that they gave out. But they would not have given Bug's Life out for free. They would not.
Probably not. Pretty obvious to me now why, but
no. You actually, if you bought Bug's Life, you got a free DVD player. We have the Battle of Mall Security,
Mm.
Observe and Report, and Paul Blart. The Battle of what
There's
was I don't remember what year that was, but
there's no comparison. Observe and Report is by far the more superior movie. It just sucks that a lot of people didn't watch it because it was a dark comedy, and I think they expected, it was Seth Rogen, I think they expected a Seth Rogen movie, something like Paul Blart or whatever, and it wasn't. It was a dark comedy, and it was so fucking good. Michael Pena's in that. Jesse Plemons is in that. Fucking Ray Liotta's in that. It's such a good fucking movie, dude. It is really funny, but it's a dark comedy, and I think it suffered going against Paul Blart won, right? I think
Yeah,
box
because they had a
office.
sequel. That's all I know.
yeah, they had the sequel. They got I think it won the box office, but
Mhm.
Observe and
Yeah.
Report was at a disadvantage. Like, I believe that one was rated R,
Yeah.
while
Mhm.
Paul Blart was family. So those are always going to have an advantage because bigger audience to come to see it. Um, I do agree. Observe and Report is the better movie. I enjoyed it more. It was that darker comedy, so it wasn't as like slapstick and silly as Paul Blart. But it is funny you say that, Chuck, because so when they made Observe and Report, I think Warner Brothers is behind that, and they first like looked at it and they were like, "Ooh, this is too dark," and they actually made them lighten it up and make changes and lighten it up, and
Wow.
then the lightened up version bombed horribly in testing. So
Mm.
they went back to the darker one because people hated the lightened up version of it.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. It's kind of a drama. I don't know. It's kind of a fucked up movie.
Which kind of makes sense because Seth Rogen doesn't do Kevin James type comedy. And Kevin James, those movies came out when Kevin James, he had like that little sliver of like super fame. You know what I mean? When he was doing like
Yeah.
Kings of Queens and all that, where he was a hit. Now he's not anymore. But at that time he was, and Paul Blart came out. I agree with both of you guys. I think Observer Report's better, but this is that rare occurrence where the better film didn't win in the box office and Kevin James did because they knew their target audience, man. It's that redneck middle of America. Like they know exactly who their audience was. It wasn't for us. We weren't the target audience for that movie. I don't even know if I've actually saw it all the way, to be honest. I saw it maybe the first 20, 30 minutes. I was like, I'm good. I'm just not a Kevin James fan.
Yeah, I never saw the movie anyway, so
Mm-mm.
No, I remember they actually filmed one of the Paul Blarts in a mall here in Massachusetts. So I remember
Mm.
being in the mall and they had like an area blocked off, and they were filming that, and you saw Kevin James on his what do they call it, little scooter thing
Segways, the
Segway.
on
little,
the
yeah.
Segway, coming through. It's whichever one was like a Christmas like theme one,
Okay.
but
Jose, did it smell like poop when you're on the set?
yes. How did you know that?
Because the movie was shit. Because the movie was shit. Dun-dun-dun. You guys are gonna miss
and
these jokes, Chuck.
and we got flagged right there. And all it's gonna say is like bad joke. It's
I
like-
know.
Let me get flagged. Bad joke.
It's it's sad when they have to call Paul Blart because it rhymes with Paul Fart. Like they played off of the fart and Blart. That's such a low hanging fruit. That's why I'm like, this is not for me, man. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No.
So
Man,
in
you
this
bring up
one,
fart every time we record, man. I was just watching one of the episodes the other day, and I was like, and I was thinking,
You know why? Because you hate it so much. That's why I'm like, why does he hate it so much?
this one it looks like to the masses, Paul Blart won the battle.
Mm-hmm.
To us, Observe and Report is the underrated one. They should have won the battle.
Yep.
oh, that's true. They
It
won the
was like in
war.
boxing, when it goes to boxing and goes to, the end bone. It's like, oh, come on. Come on. They paid off the refs.
This next one's for Chuck. Chuck, I put this one in
Ooh.
here specifically for you. In 95, 96, we had the Battle of the Skins. Striptease and Showgirls.
Ooh.
Oh, dang, that's a good one,
Yeah, I
dude.
feel like we got to start with Chuck on this one.
I just 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 barely Showgirls. Because it was ridiculous. And I think Demi Moore is hotter, right? But Showgirls was just so fucking ridiculous. And I think at this point is like a cult classic, probably, you know? It has like a following now, and I like the director better. And it was just, I got to see Jesse Spano naked. Even though I'd rather see Demi Moore naked, I like 12-year-old me always wanted to see Jesse Spano naked. So I'm gonna go with Showgirls on that one.
I mean, both of them bombed critically and financially. Both of them did absolutely horrible.
Good.
But at the end, I think the winner is us. We won. We won this movie.
Yes.
What do you think, Dan?
I go Showgirls, but to me, it's not close. It's like a substantial margin. You guys know that, like, I like going back to Showgirls once in a while because it's so stupid and ridiculous. Dialogue is so bad. It's just hilarious to watch, and it built up a cult following. I don't hear anybody talking about striptease. Like, I don't hear any cult following behind that movie. And sure, it had to be more, you know, cool. But like,
Yeah,
Showgirls, it was just funner, man. It was way more fun.
I do agree there. I do think while at first it wasn't received well at all, I think over time people started looking um at Showgirls as more like a parody, like something you don't
Mhm.
take too serious. And I think that's what led to the cult following
Mhm.
of Showgirls. And yeah, I think you're gonna hear someone bring up Showgirls before you hear someone bring up striptease.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like The Room, the same movie, like The Room, Showgirls. Like, oh, there should be like
Yep.
a weekly, bi-weekly like showing of like Showgirls at some fucking random movie theater. I think so,
I agree.
and I would be there.
I would be there too.
I would be there.
That'd be hilarious.
I'd be like, "Hey, Dan, what are you doing here?" Oh, waiting for a couple of my buddies, and
Yeah, you're like,
yeah, me too. You want to shit
yeah,
together?
but it's like, but weren't we supposed to do something together? But you said you had to hang out with your mom. Oh yeah, I'm hanging out with her afterwards.
Yeah, that was earlier.
And another disaster face off. We did giant comets last time. Now Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Volcanoes in 1997.
During your research, just real quick, when did 2012 and Day After Tomorrow come out?
Those actually, I believe they weren't too far, but I didn't look into them.
Oh, okay, that's what
I
thought
felt
you
we
were
had a
going
good
with.
enough list already, so I didn't add it. But I think you're right. I think those were not too far away from
Right?
each other.
Okay, just curious. Dante's Peak, Pierce Brosnan, Dr. Fate. I mean James Bond. Whatever.
Yeah. I think Dante's Peak won. I think Dante's Peak, right? Because that one's still kind of mentioned. Volcano, I remember watching when it first came out. I liked it, had Tommy Lee Jones in it, but
Yeah.
I've never gone back to it. I don't hear anybody mention it. It's almost very obscure. When I hear somebody say Volcano, I kind of turn at them like, hey, you know Volcano too?
Are you a movie
don't know.
buff? What's
Are
going
you a
on? Do
movie
you
buff?
study film? What's going on here?
Do you have a movie palette? Is that what you do?
Yeah, there was Volcano, and then they highlighted like the LA or something, right? Because wasn't it in LA, the volcano?
It was in LA, yeah.
Right?
I don't remember them highlighting that though.
Yeah,
Was
they
it?
highlighted the LA and volcano because it was in LA.
Oh. Clever marketing, I guess. Sure.
Yeah.
And that
Listen.
no,
Is a
that
real
happened.
fact.
Now it happened,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I do agree. I felt Volcano might have been a little more accurate, but Dante's Peak was the better movie and also did better box office.
Mhm.
But Dante's Peak was more entertaining, but it did exaggerate a little bit on certain things for pure entertainment, and it
Yeah.
worked.
I mean, it's a volcano spewing out of LA, so like Volcano also kind of exaggerated a little bit here.
Jose
No,
was
no.
like, Dante's a volcano was a little more realistic, and I was all
Popping up in the middle of the
Hey,
US.
I didn't say it was fully accurate. I'm just saying it was more accurate than Dante's Peak.
It's like when he's on the set of Paul Blart. You're looking at it, it's like, well, at least that guy's trying more at acting.
I was trying to give Volcano something because Dante's Peak won everything. It won critically, it won box office, like it wasn't even close. Honestly, I remember pieces of the movie, but I didn't even remember the title until I read it. Volcano. I'm like, oh, that's what it was called.
Oh yeah.
But I remember Dante's Peak.
I just remember Tommy Lee Jones, and I remember those barriers, those cement barriers when the lava's coming and it was like melting it. That's literally all I remember from that movie.
I remember something from Volcano and why I hated it.
You hated it now? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
All the ashes were on everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody looked the same. So there was like no racism in Volcano because everybody was the same, and then everybody was kind of like, "Oh, we're the same. We all look the same." Do you remember that?
No. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, because there a lot of people were fighting. There was a lot of racial stuff going on. And then when all the ashes were on them, it's like we're all the same.
Why haven't we tried that? Volcanoes can cure racism?
Yeah. Dude, Volcano was an underlying movie about racism and how we can overcome racism through a volcano in the middle of Wilshire.
We need to try that because all we've been doing right now is just bashing each other on Twitter. So we should try Ash. Maybe that'll work.
So we'll throw out a couple of vulnerable mentions here that I had. One was Troy and Alexander.
Troy was better.
Troy.
Yeah.
Alexander was awful. Rosario Dawson, boobs. That was
it. That was
it. And what made Alexander worse is not just that it was bad, but it was like 3 hours of bad. So it was like extended bad.
Yes, it was painful bad.
So I agree, Troy. And then the other notable mention I have here is The Cave and The Descent. I think The Descent takes that one because I don't even remember what The Cave was about.
I don't even know what the fucking cave was about. What about 2012 and Day After Tomorrow? Which one do you guys like better?
Day After Tomorrow.
I think Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're pretty close. I mean, one's not like amazing to me.
So, something about people outrunning all these natural disasters in a limo, it just didn't do it for me.
That's 2012, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow had that thing where like it would go
freezing over.
And it would freeze over, but Dennis Quaid and his boys were okay in a fucking tent.
Yeah, 2012, they were like, let's do all the disasters. Let's throw in earthquakes and tsunamis and all of this stuff. And this guy in his limo was able to outrun everything. There was, I guess, no one else on the road, no traffic of other people evacuating. He's jumping, giant holes with his limo. And he was always
hose
like
in the limo, bro. Yeah. What are you talking about, dude? He's jumping hose in the limo.
He was always like 5 seconds away ahead of the the big disaster. He got in the jet, the plane, and started flying it off just as the disaster got there, and it was like, oh, just missed it.
Was that Emmerich, Ronald Emmerich, that did that one? 2012.
He did Day After Tomorrow, I think.
No, it was Emmerich. 2012 was Emmerich.
And who did Day After Tomorrow?
I knew it. Because all the stuff we're describing is total Emmerich. It's total Emmerich.
That was also Emmerich. They're both Emmerich.
Shut the hell up.
He had that little run, dude. It was almost like a trilogy of these natural disaster movies.
He did both of them?
Yeah, and he did something else too. He did them in like a year and a half span.
What did Wolfgang Peterson do? He did.
Okay.
He ate at Wolfgang Puck's.
Okay, so those did not. Second flag.
You better wake the fuck up for the next one, Dan. That's all I'm saying, dude.
Even my jokes feel tired. All right, guys, what's on the queue?
Throw Armageddon in there. Let's get some Armageddon. Go watch some animal cracker goodness in Armageddon.
I'm gonna watch The Prestige, and then I'm gonna watch The Illusionist,
and then rank.
And then I'm gonna really because I was a lot dumber back then. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Never mind. I got smarter a little bit after, and then I'm
lost it.
Back to dumber again. It's the same shit. I'm not watching either of them.
You're eventually gonna go so far backwards that Emmerich's gonna be your favorite director.
Be like Nemric did the Prestige. Yeah, he did a great job. Everybody died at the end.
Yes. I'm gonna recommend, since I was gonna go with Armageddon, I'm gonna go with Showgirls. Have a blast. Don't take it seriously. Have fun with it, and watch Jesse Spano's.
Now, if it was Kelly Kapowski, that would be different.
Even give me Lisa Turtle. Better.
Zach Morris.
There we go again. On that note, thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. Go on YouTube. Do us a favor this time. Tell 3 people to like, subscribe, and comment to our page. Have them tell 3 people. Then they can tell 3 people, and they can tell 3 people. And that way we can slowly expand and become the #1 podcast show. Let's just start off with that. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Not a Strong Start. You can also listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Daniel DeSangre. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I'm Jose. You can find me at This Is Mi Nombre on Instagram.
I'm Zach Morrison. Why does Jose look like he's in the Benicio del Toro part of Traffic right now? He's like all yellow.
I'm going artistic, going with the sepia.
He's Yellow Bastard in Sin City.
He's Black Adam before they took out that filter and went with the...
And whatever you do, do not follow our similar sounding podcast that came out at the same time. A very strong start.
Do not. Because spoiler alert, they don't end well, and we think we are.